Our top story this morning, House Republican leaders are scrambling to find enough votes to avert a government shutdown before tomorrow night's deadline. Conservatives are refusing to fall into line as the battle to reach an immigration deal continues with Democrats. CBS's Hinadova has more.
House lawmakers could vote today on a measure to temporarily fund the government beyond the Friday deadline, since bitter divisions in both parties are hindering Congress's effort to find a long-term solution. Talks also went late into the night on the Senate floor.
Compromise solutions are not out of reach. But for now, Congress needs to keep the government running.
The bill would fund the government for 1 month, reauthorize the children's health insurance program for 6 years, and delay several Obamacare tax provisions. But it does not protect the thousands of undocumented young immigrants from being deported, something Democrats say is a non-starter.
These dreamers, these young people protected by DACA, have shown us over and over again why they have earned our confidence and trust. They work so hard to be part of this country.
Some House conservatives oppose the temporary spending measure unless Republican leadership commits to a more conservative immigration bill and can promise a boost to defense spending. Within the Democratic Party, some lawmakers up for re-election may not want to risk being blamed for a government shutdown.
The DACA solution has got to be a balanced solution. It makes no sense for Democrats to try and bring us to a shutdown.
The White House has also said if there is a shutdown, the president plans to place the blame solely on Democrats. Hinadova, CBS News.
If there is a shutdown, it won't affect essential services like Social Security checks, airport security, air traffic controllers, or the Postal Service, but thousands of federal workers would be furloughed. National parks and museums would close, and you won't be able to get a passport. Meanwhile, Montana's 3 congressional leaders say they will vote down party lines.
I didn't come here to Washington to shut down the government. You know, I plan to vote for the House plan to keep the government open, and that plan reauthorizes CHIP.
I think it's ridiculous that the threat of a shutdown yet looms over a country. I hope that reasonable minds will prevail here.
Senator John Tester called the extension a Band-Aid approach. He said, quote, Congress must stop governing from crisis to crisis and deadline to deadline. Washington has broken trust with the American people, and it's time for the people who control Congress to start doing their jobs. In other news that's new this morning, the California couple who allegedly held their kids captive are scheduled to appear in court today. David and Louise Turpin face torture and child endangerment charges for keeping 13 siblings, children, and adults prisoners in their own home. One of them managed to escape and alerted authorities on Sunday. A Yellowstone County jury says the actions taken by Billings police officers in the shooting death of a man last May were justified. During the day-long coroner's inquest Wednesday, jurors learned 30-year-old Ryan Lowell was highly intoxicated and suicidal. The coroner testified Lowell was shot a total of 7 times, none of which were immediately fatal injuries. Lowell sent photos of himself to his ex-girlfriend that morning, showing himself with a gun in his mouth. The woman contacted police, who found Lowell atop the rims. A negotiator worked for about an hour to get Lowell to drop his weapon. Lowell talked about ending his life over a recent breakup. At one point, Lowell put the gun down, and officers believe the standoff might end peacefully. But near the end of this tense encounter, Lowell's demeanor changed, and he moved toward officers with the gun. Officers say when Lowell swung around and fired a shot in their direction, 4 officers fired back.
At that time, I was like, well, maybe he wants to get into a shootout with us, and maybe he wants us to die and not him instead. Now I feel like he was trying to make us he's trying to force our hands into shooting him.
The autopsy revealed Lowell's level of intoxication was enough to put some people in a coma. Continuing our coverage, members of the Northern Cheyenne Tribal Council say Monday's inauguration of Jace Killsback as tribal president is invalid. Council members Dana Eaglefeathers, Waylon Rogers, and Vernon Small maintain that a tribal judge issued a stay putting a hold on Killsback inauguration on January 12th, 3 days before Monday's inauguration. But Killsback claims the judge's order was too little too late and went ahead with Monday's ceremony. Eaglefeathers told us Killsback tricked the tribal notary into signing the inauguration documents. The tribal council says it does not recognize Killsback as president. Instead, the Council will await the result of a hearing on the matter, now set to be heard in tribal court on January 26. Last week, Bighorn County Attorney Jay Harris announced his office plans to crack down on women who use drugs or alcohol while pregnant. On Wednesday, the ACLU of Montana said that order is unlawful. In a statement, the ACLU claims Harris's order is a violation of Montana's Constitution. The ACLU says while substance abuse during pregnancy is a very real problem, policies that punish women with legal action isn't the answer. They say such policies actually have a detrimental effect on maternal and fetal health. As written, the policy would allow prosecutors to seek a restraining order to block a pregnant woman from access to a particular substance. If she were to violate the order, prosecutors could file an incarceration order. The ACLU of Montana says it is prepared to take legal action if Harris attempts to enforce the policy. Elsewhere, 14 Montana children who were previously reported to Child and Family Services died in 2017. The Child Fatality Review Board found 10 of the 14 deaths involved children 1 year old or younger. 4 deaths were ruled accidental. 3 of those involved co-sleeping and drug use by the mother. 5 were homicides. 2 involved medical complications for the child, but both included drug use by the mother. 1 fatality was confirmed as a suicide and 2 are unknown at this time. The report also notes that many of these cases had combinations of prior history with domestic violence and housing or financial instability. Also noted, most half the cases included parents who had a history with Child and Family Services when they were children. Attorney General Tim Fox says the state can and must do better. Now we go to Yellowstone National Park, where officials are looking for a suspect after 52 bison were released from their holding pens. When park staff arrived Tuesday morning at the Stevens Creek facility, they discovered that the bison that were being held for possible quarantine were gone. The missing bison were being held in 2 separate pens where they were being tested for brucellosis as part of a possible conservation program to create new herds of disease-free bison. Park Superintendent Dan Winks says the incident delays critical ongoing discussions about a quarantine program and the transfer of live Yellowstone bison to tribal lands. The park has not yet located any of the missing bison. Anyone with information is encouraged to call the Yellowstone National Park tip line. In Helena, Montana Democrats are bringing in a big name for their annual fundraising dinner held each election year in March. Former Vice President Joe Biden will be the keynote speaker at the Democrats' Mansfield Metcalf dinner on March 10th. The dinner, a major fundraiser for the party, is attended by hundreds of Democrats from across the state. Biden is a former U.S. Senator from Delaware and served as Vice President under President Barack Obama. He formed a political action committee last year and has been mentioned as a possible presidential candidate in 2020, although he'll be 77 years old entering that election year. Back here in Billings, Riverstone Health is showing off and celebrating its new teaching health center. Doctors and students got a tour of the new Riverstone Health Clinic in the Ballard Center on Wednesday. The name comes from Bill and Marilyn Ballard, who donated $1 million to the $11 million project. More than 100 Riverstone Health employees took part in designing the 32,000 square foot clinic that features 48 exam rooms. Riverstone employees will see their last patients in the old building on Thursday, and the new facility will open on Monday.